Well, greetings everybody. Thanks for joining me for the weekly devotion. And as you can see, I've got my beautiful wife Deb with me today.
Yeah.
And what we thought we might do is just chat to you about the roadmap forward for C3 Monash and what we're feeling that God is leading us into in this next season, in response to all that's happening in the COVID-19 world in which we live at the moment.
Yeah.
And so, it's important that we have an understanding of what we feel God is calling us into to move forward. So if you're watching this and you connected through the link from the email, you would have got also the soft copy of the roadmap that we've put together to outline what we're seeing as the next steps forward. So
exciting.
It is exciting.
New days.
So we're recording this on Monday the 1st of June, which as it turns out is the first day of the second step of the government roadmap forward. And so obviously what we're doing is honouring what the government and the authorities are putting in place, but also being really aware that as a community of faith, we have the opportunity to use this season to disciple and create community, maybe in new and different ways to what we have in the past. And so, so here we are. The second step of the roadmap, we're now allowing more gatherings in homes, so up to 20. I think in New South Wales it might even be 50. I'm not sure if the ACT has followed that. So we've got some thoughts around what this step might look like for us as a church. And did you want to elaborate on that, babe?
Yeah, well, if we can meet in our homes and, it's more than just two families, obviously we've got to look at all restrictions and know, where there's social distancing, all of these things are important. However, if we can meet in our homes, say we're looking at a Sunday morning, if you can meet with a few families in your home around our online service, and you can come together and worship together, pray together. I think it's an opportunity, eat together, laugh together,
pray for one another.
Allow the kids to enjoy, time together with the kids. Maybe you can put them on with, set them up with the kids program. But, it's a moment where we can really even stir up the gifts within us. Steve and I, we had, we came out of growing up with small groups when we were teenagers, young adults, small groups that multiplied, and we still had church services because we didn't have this coronavirus, but we'd still be able to meet on Sundays, but also meet sometimes Sunday afternoons, sometimes midweek, but meet in homes. And we would get together, and like the early church in Acts, they added daily to the church by inviting people into their homes, and then they'd be able to go up to the temple. But we have had so many memories, we've talked about them, of how we serve one another in our small groups and how we got to know one another. And then through that, we would always come together in a corporate sense and, just mix with others and share with others. But you've got this sense of, I don't know, there's a sense of God and this sense of believing together, encouraging each other, praying for one another. It comes out of this heart of together in the home, but it flows out of that place into our neighborhood, into our community, into the work we're doing, even through the C3 Cares and all of that.
So the first step that we did was to connect groups. And so I know that many of you have been zooming in and connecting, and we've been getting around and continue to want to get into some of the connect groups. So thanks for doing that. So the second stage that we've just outlined, we actually want you to gather as a home church on a Sunday morning, watching the online service, maybe with one or, as Richard Green says, do what you do and add one or two. So maybe you add a family or some neighbours or friends or whatever, and watch, maintain social distance and all that sort of stuff. So that's the second step. So then the third step, which we're not sure what the date of that will be, but the gathering size we anticipate will be growing to 100 people. And so, the question has been asked, well, when we can have 100 people in the auditorium, we could go to multiple services and that kind of thing. But actually sensing in God that we actually don't just want to go back to what we knew before. And in actual fact, if we have 100 people in our auditorium, it's going to be an incredible demand on resource of teams and managing all the restrictions and social distancing and all of that kind of thing. And so we actually think that what we want to do is hold off on that and use that step when we can gather with 100 people to open up a midweek prayer meeting on possibly a Wednesday night. We've got to talk that through. But so we actually want to focus in this season on discipleship and prayer and building community. We're all hanging out to get back together, but we don't want to just do it the way it's going to be awkward if we've got to wear masks and we've got a temperature check and who knows what the sort of restrictions are going to be. So we're kind of thinking that once we can go to 100, we would like to use that opportunity to have an all-in midweek prayer meeting in an evening. And so we wouldn't anticipate doing that, even if we're allowed to. As a church, I wouldn't want to do that before the 1st of September, so springtime. That's what we're thinking at the moment. And obviously all of this is open to discussion. We've run this through our board and through our pastoral exec team, all our connect leaders, and so we're just gauging what the vibe with you guys is and what you're feeling. But this is kind of the heart of where we're coming from. So, but I kind of really looking forward to that sense of when we come together to pray. Yes. And I believe that we're in a season of a great opportunity for the life of church in culture, broadly speaking. And so the crisis that culture is in at the moment is opening up the opportunity for us to see a renewal in the things of God in a way that we've never seen before. So that would be what we anticipate spring at the earliest for us as a church. Any comments on that, babe?
I just think that we can do this as a church. And I believe that it's a time for us to see God moving powerfully through the body. We are the body, and we are working together. And there are gifts within our smaller, home groups operating. So it gives opportunity for everyone to be able to use their gifts together, which makes me excited. And then as we come back into a corporate meeting, I think that there's more of a stirring to come together and bring what we do have, what we've stirred up inside. We can use it in the broader sense in our corporate, in our coming into the temple of God and serving God with a whole heart. And serving one another, with that wholeheartedness.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the key factors in this is obviously the safety of everybody. And so they've identified that one of the more contagious environments is when you're singing together and breathing out over each other, and so that means that we've got to be aware of that. So I know we're all hanging out to worship together in a broader context.
It's the best.
The time will come. So, and also when we get to that 100 at the beginning of spring, C3 Cares, we'll look at maybe reintroducing C3 Cares into the auditorium. And obviously all of this time, any of you connect groups that want to meet in church, we can accommodate that. But we'll have a management plan in place that you'll be getting advised of shortly, and obviously need to just liaise through the church office just to make sure we're doing all of these things well. And so finally is just to move things along a bit. The final step, when we come back to worship together, all in, I actually think it's best to wait until there are no restrictions. And we actually don't know when that's going to be. But a couple of things around that. I don't want to rush this season of discipleship and community building that has been gifted to us by God through the the challenge of the coronavirus. And I think coming back into a worship service where we've got masks on, or there's, we can't hug or connect or high five or mingle or anything like that, is just not going to be, it's going to be a bit weird. So I just sort of think maybe let's not rush back at this point in time, but once the restrictions have been lifted, then we can come back. And one of the key elements of that is that we want to continue with our online video presence. And so a key to coming back together in a full worship service with no restrictions will be all our rosters will be populated, the kids ministry will be supported and resourced well, and that the online presence will have thought through what that's going to look like. So in response, just by way of comment with that, if you have or are interested in developing video or online technical abilities, we'd love to hear from you. Let me know, because we want to build and develop that team. I think there's an opportunity moving forward that the digital church is going to be one of the elements that moving forward, the way the kingdom of God is going to continue to expand. And so, I mean, I look forward to the day when we get back together and we have that one huge party. But again, I don't want to rush that. I want it to be not, in a weird kind of way, but, embracing all of the opportunities and resources that are afforded us. So that's what we're looking at. We don't know what the time frame of that will be yet. And, obviously this is a roadmap subject to a redirection along the way, but just letting you know what we're thinking as we're moving forward. So we'd love to hear from you if you've got any thoughts, or if, but the sense that we have in God and all of this is that we can go deeper. This is in a sense a global crisis that allows us to go deeper as the church. It plumbs our response. What are we hanging on to? And we're not hanging on to the same things that people who don't have God are hanging on to. So it's a great opportunity to just develop that deeper life, that spiritual life.
Beneath the surface, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Beneath the surface discipleship.
That's what it's all about. So,
and we have been really enjoyed also just coming into your Connect groups. Each week a different Connect group, zooming in with you and just hearing the stories and the connections. So don't forget, if you know someone who's not in Connect group, please invite them in, Zoom them in, allow people to get connected so no one's feeling out of the loop. We want to bring people in and encourage them, and that's the best form of discipleship, right?
Absolutely, So we want to stay connected. We want to allow God to do the work in us that we feel He's setting us up for at this point in time. And the future is bright for each and every one of us. We love you guys. We actually miss you. We do want to give you a hug when we can sometime soon. But that's just some thoughts on the way forward for us at C3 Monash. God bless you guys. We love you.
Guys.